Hello, I am Justin Delano from Northeastern University, presenting an examination of citation-based impact of the Computational Biology conferences. In this work, we aim to investigate and summarize the citation-based impact of top conferences in the field of computational biology. In all scientific fields, researchers commonly discuss not only where to publish and present their scientific findings, but also the impact of scientific papers in general. One way to quantify scientific impact is through paper citations, which is used to rank individuals throughout the scientific community. We use the metric of citations to analyze the scientific impact of computational biology conferences. Citations are shown to correlate strongly with paper quality, so this was a reasonable, while imperfect, metric for analysis. We specifically narrowed down our field of interest to computational biology due to the uniformity between top conferences, leading to more meaningful comparisons. We looked at 5 major venues: Intelligent Systems for Molecular Biology, starting in 1993, Pacific Symposium on Biocomputing, starting in 1996, Research in Computational Molecular Biology, starting in 1997, the European Conference on Computational Biology, starting in 2002, and the ACM Conference on Bioinformatics, Computational Biology, and Health Informatics, starting in 2010. We conducted our analysis from these initial dates up through 2016, ending in 2017. Data was collected from Google Scholar automatically for papers of interest. These papers of interest were collected from conference websites and cross-checked against the DBLP database. The conferences we analyzed, however, have different publishing procedures. Many of the conferences publish their proceedings as journal papers. However, RECOM not only publishes their proceedings, but they also publish individual papers. Also, we had to consider joint ISMB ECCB conferences, and those data were labeled as belonging to ISMB due to it being the more established conference. For analysis treating these joint conferences as a different source of data, please refer to this paper's supplement. In order to ensure our data was accurate, especially in the case of RECOM papers, we manually combined citations from identical proceedings papers and journal extensions. This combination was only done when a journal extension's authorship was a subset of the preceding paper's authorship. Also see below the number of papers analyzed by conference. ISMB, we analyzed around 1,100 papers, whereas ECCB, we analyzed around 300 papers. As a preliminary analysis, we wanted to first analyze the similarity between the 5 conferences in question with respect to authors. We used 2 conference encodings for this, where the first records only the presence of an author at each conference, and the second additionally records the number of times said author has published at each conference. For our bag of words representation, we identified an author by the concatenation of their first name, middle initial, and last name, and while this is not a perfect identifier, due to some authors having identical names, for example, a manual estimation showed very few errors. The Jacquard distance metric was used for measuring set similarity, and the Yang-Clark distance metric was used for bag of words vector similarity, and both analyses produce the same dendrogram shown below. Lengths in the dendrogram do not encode any measurement. Here we see results of the citation analysis. This first plot gives the average citations per paper, per conference, per year. The number of citations at a given conference in a given year is averaged not only over the total number of papers in that group, but also the number of years since those papers have been published, up until 2017. For example, in 2003, ISMB had the highest average citations at approximately 10, and that calculation included the number of years we had citations for those papers, 14 years. We start to see trends in this plot, but averages are very susceptible to outliers, so we also chose a different metric for analysis, the median. We see similar trends again. One factor we wanted to normalize against was the number of papers analyzed at each conference, so for this last plot we calculated the median citations from the top 10 years at each conference for each year. Again, the trends are similar, with ISMB seemingly taking the lead as the most impactful conference, with RECOM and ECCB following. In the supplement of our paper, you will also find a similar analysis, in which the average only accounts for the year a paper was published and the 2 following years, as opposed to all years through 2016. These analyses also show similar trends. To give statistical significance to these trends, we looked at head-to-head comparisons between conferences. For example, when comparing ISMB to PSB in the average category, ISMB had higher values than PSB 21 times out of 21 comparisons. These comparisons were only counted in years when both conferences occurred. A one-sided binomial test was used to calculate p-values, and we can see that this calculation is statistically significant. ISMB had significant wins over many other conferences, shown here, and it stands out as a frontrunner. Looking at ISCB and RECOM, we can see these conferences are very similar in terms of average, median, and median of top 10 paper citations. As our analyses showed, citations are a reasonable, while not perfect, metric that can show significant trends in the impact of computational biology conferences. ISMB stands out as the frontrunner, followed by ISCB and RECOM, then PSB and BCB. These data could be useful in selecting program committees of future conferences based on the impact in the field associated with each author. Further work could also include individual or institutional statistics or additional venues besides the 5 we chose to analyze here. Thank you.